Welcome to Jerks Talk Games, a podcast about video games by two programmers who are pretty certain they're good at programming. My name is Chris Tankersley, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Gary Hockin. How you doing today, Gary?
I'm good, Chris. I'm not certain I'm pretty good at programming, so you'd have to speak for yourself there. But it's all, we're all
fake
good.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
Good. All good, yeah. Fake it till you make it. How are you doing?
I am doing very good. Just got back from a week in Miami, which was really cold because it turns out Florida gets really cold in the winter. The Northern Hemisphere works in mysterious ways.
Yes, I just came back from a week in San Francisco, which was certainly warmer than beautiful South Wales, but not as warm as I was hoping.
Yeah. I mean, Florida was, depending on the day, I think the lowest it got during the day was like 60-ish compared to the below freezing. Gary's shrugging his shoulders because he doesn't understand freedom units. At home, it was 0 degrees or less Celsius, and in Florida, it was 15-ish, 20-ish.
Oh, that's kind of nice. Yeah, it's 15, 16 degrees. That's okay. That's kind of about what it was in San Francisco, to be honest. I mean, I didn't have to wear a raincoat. That's something I haven't been able to do, say, for a while, so that was kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. It was hoodie weather, is what I consider.
Hoodie weather, I agree.
Though I wear a hoodie all year long, so that probably skews the results a little bit. How have you been doing, Gary?
I've been doing very good. Ironically, we both had our all hands for our hugely competing companies we now work for, which still it absolutely still makes me laugh, which is good. Like, I still find it hugely ironic that we ended up working for Nexmo and Twilio, respectively, you know. But that's fine. It's all good.
I still like you.
I still like you too, and also all the other people who I know and work for Nexmo. I like them as well. So what you been playing?
Well, since I've been traveling, my travel schedule this beginning of this year has been nutso. So I've been playing a lot of Switch since I got a Switch Lite last year. Though this last trip I picked up Slay the Spire on Switch. I've been playing it on PC, which is great. But it's kind of annoying to have to pull out the laptop just to play games. So it's like, I'll pick this up. It was pretty decent at GameStop. And I am really happy with how it actually plays on the Switch. It's a little bit behind the PC game, like when it comes to like some of the content and stuff. But the nice thing about Slay the Spire is the core mechanic of the game is really, really fun to play. Just trying to run through the dungeons and see how far you get. Die, start all over, rebuild your deck.
I'm a massive fan of Slay the Spire. A massive fan. In fact, the new character just came out on the PC version.
The Watcher, I think it was.
The Watcher, which I haven't actually played a lot of, which is great because now you reminded me I've got a whole this such a great game to just dip into for a couple of hours. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally should be playing that more.
Well, and that was the reason I picked it up, because you can just dip in and out of it. Like, the Switch is good for games like that, but Slay the Spire is just an excellent game to pop in, play a couple hands, turn it back off, move on to the next thing. So that was the bulk of what I played. I also picked up A Hat in Time for Switch, which is okay. Like, the kind of collectathon games like Banjo-Kazooie and stuff like that, I played a lot during the N64 era. I don't think that they've aged as well. And A Hat in Time on Switch has a lot of performance problems, which kind of hampers it. So I'm not super happy with it. I may end up just trading it back in. But it's okay for what it is. But I feel like I'd probably be better off on a console versus the Switch.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yes, the Switch we've discussed before. I feel like there's a lack of killer games on the Switch, personally, still. I mean, we'll go on and talk about Pokemon in the main section of the podcast, but that's one game that I really feel has flipped it over for me to be, I really find this fun. But like, largely I look at games I want to play on the Switch, and I already own them on at least one other platform, which is really disappointing. Like Slay the Spire, for example.
Yeah, and
I would happily have that on my Switch because it's a great game to play when you're traveling, but I don't need to buy a Switch to play that. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird situation for me.
Yeah, I would say there's a lack of, other than first party games, you don't really have any exclusives that like draw you directly to the Switch. Because like some of them are very fun. Breath of the Wild was fun while I played it. Mario Odyssey is very fun. If you can stick your tongue out at it, it's fine. Mario Odyssey was fun. A lot of the first party games, like I still love Hyrule Warriors. But that being said, like a lot of the good games are elsewhere. So like I picked them up on PC, I picked them up on Xbox. Half the time they're free on Xbox. Sometimes it seems like.
I just feel like still, and who cares? We'll turn this in from what you've been playing to Switch discussion 101 again. Because I do feel like the first party games, I have never been a big Nintendo fan. Mm-hmm. I've never been a big Mario fan. I've never been a big Zelda fan. So really the question is, why the hell did I buy a Switch? But I did buy a Switch because it's a portable console.
Because you can't buy any other portable consoles now.
I mean, if I had the chance to buy... If you could buy an Xbox or a PS or a Nintendo in the same form factor as the Switch and they were all equally as good, like the Nintendo would have been my last choice, if I'm honest. Don't forget to mute your laptop, you idiot. And that's a big problem for me because the PS first part, like franchise style games and the Xbox franchise style games are a lot more fun for me than the Nintendo first party stuff. But
so I'll ask you this question because originally the topic was maybe talking about portable games. So let's go straight there, even though we changed the topic at the last second.
It's fine.
Did you ever own a PSP or a Vita?
I owned a PSP. Yes. I owned a PSP. And I managed to root it and acquire games back when I was a lot poorer, and I don't condone this behavior. But I borrowed games from friends.
You played a lot of homebrew games, right?
I played a lot of homebrew games, exactly. And I loved it, and I really enjoyed it. But the PSP is different, right? It's a portable... It's a Nintendo Game Boy, essentially, of the PlayStation lands at the time, because the Switch is trying to sell itself as the next gen Nintendo console, right? That just happens to have two form factors, so it does not compete with the PSP for me, because the PSP was never meant to replace a PlayStation.
What about a Vita, especially with the idea of the PSTV?
Well, I never owned a Vita, so I can't comment, but I love the fact that I can walk around with it. I can take a Switch with me when I'm traveling. I didn't actually play a lot when I was away. I played a bit on the traveling, and I played. Pokemon's a perfect game for that. We'll discuss that in a bit for the grindiness, or we can discuss it right now. I don't care.
No, I want to talk about the Vita because I love the Vita.
I don't know. The Vita, though, you could use it as a console if you were on the same local network, right? You couldn't stream over the internet to the Vita. I don't really know how it worked. Let's be honest.
It had. Yeah, if you were on the same network, you could do things to like VPN it, like if you like did fancy network things to get back to home. But for the most part, it was meant as I'm at home. I don't want to go in the living room. I'm going to play it off here. So it did all the in-home streaming that like you can do to the PC for the PlayStation and for the Xbox. It had a ton of really nice first-party titles and a lot of pretty decent third-party titles. I still think I enjoyed it better than I did the 3DS. The 3DS had a larger library, but I think the Vita was kind of that perfect amount of really good 3D that the 3DS just can't do. Like the 3DS realistically is slightly better than like an N64 in some cases. So in some ways the games just don't look that great. But they're pretty fun games. The Vita could actually pump out a decent amount of graphics. Especially if I have the PS TV as well. You would probably say it's somewhere just below PS3 quality, like on a HD TV. Nice. And there's a lot of fun games on there. Like there's a lot of RPGs on there, a lot of tactical games, a lot of kind of beat 'em up games. ton of visual novel stuff, which I never played. But like, there's a lot of really good kind of content on there if you went and found it. Sony just didn't really put enough weight behind it, I don't think.
Yep, I think that's fair. I think for me, largely the problem I've got is that the Nintendo DS, I played my kids when they had it, and it's a lot of fun. But the titles are designed for the Nintendo DS largely, right? Mainly they are DS exclusives because
there's very few crossovers.
It's not the kind of game you'd want to release on a non-handheld device anyway, right? You know, it's great fun. And as a console, the Switch, there's a few games that I really like. Mario Kart is a family favourite, and if we're away at events and we've got multiple Switches, it always goes down a storm, right? Because it's Mario Kart, and it's fine. And my daughter loves Just Dance, and she's pestering me to get the party game, whatever that is called, Switch Party, I don't know. It's, you know, it's one of those where you just pump up balloons with a controller. You know the kind of game you get.
1-2 Switch,
right?
Don't get that game.
Yeah. But they are really good fun, right?
Yeah.
But
that one, no, not really.
Okay,
but no, I get it. Yeah, like the party games on Switch, like it goes back to the like when we had 4 ports on the front of a system like the Dreamcast or the GameCube.
Yes,
getting people together in the same room to have that experience versus the online experience that a PS4 or an Xbox kind of wants to shove you to.
And then I look at the other titles that are top sellers, and Pokemon, which we'll talk about shortly, 2 thumbs up. Zelda Breath of the Wild, meh, for me. I really didn't get on with the combat system, but we've talked about that a million times before. Super Mario Party, which is odd, because it's like that board game type thing.
And see, I like that version better than I do the ones that were on like the Wii U and the Wii. Because that's the kind of Mario Party I remember that, like, that's the one that tears families apart. You know, like, stealing the star out from under somebody.
It's not for me, though, right? It's not my cup of tea. And then we're getting down into, like, okay, Luigi Mansion 3. That looks like fun. I probably would give that a go when it comes cheaper, although, unfortunately, it doesn't get cheaper on the Switch.
Yeah, so. It's sitting in the to-be-play pile right now. And
then Super Smash Brothers. I've never really got on with that franchise ever.
Me neither. It's fun, but, like, fighting games are not necessarily my cup of tea. Like, I like to play with them every once in a while, but...
But then you're down into the games, like... Divinity Original Sin 2 already owned on PC. Skyrim already owned on PC. Cuphead already owned on PC. Minecraft already owned on PC. Looking down then, Diablo 3, the Definitive Eternal, Definitive Second Definitive, New Definitive Edition. You know,
Ultra Turbo Hybrid.
You're just getting down then to games that I would not really choose to play. I mean, Diablo 3, I bet that would be a lot of fun. Mobile, but I don't think it would be enough fun for me to buy it again.
It was fun on the Vita, just saying.
And that's what I mean, is that these games, there's not enough there that would make me buy the games again. That's my biggest problem.
Yeah,
like I really like Diablo 3.
A lot of them come down to, would you want to play them portably? Like, to be able to play them kind of everywhere. That's the selling point. Not necessarily probably that there's great games, because there are, but the main selling point is being able to play whenever you want. Because, I bring 2 laptops with me when I travel, between the work laptop and personal laptop. But I don't necessarily want to play on the laptop. Like, it's nice to be able to lay in bed and play with the Switch. And that's enough of a selling point for me to want to get it. Which is partially why I picked up Slay the Spire. Like, I have it on Xbox, I have it on PC. I bought it again on Switch because I wanted to be able to play it on the airplane.
And I love that, right? That's for me, that's a great game, and I probably will end up picking that up on Switch, right? And let's be honest, like, I don't know how much you paid for that, but what are you talking about? $20? You're not talking about $60, right?
So I paid $30 for it, which is full price here in the US. Yeah. But I know full well I'm going to get $30 entertainment out of that, just because I know
and that's great. And now I'm looking at. So I'm looking at Diablo 3, Eternal, Definitive, New Definitive, Eternal Collection, and I'm like, the $60. If that was $30, I'd be like, do you know what? I'll pick that up, because I will definitely enjoy playing that while I'm traveling. I definitely would enjoy playing Diablo 3, and they did all that great work to make it more fun to play on console because I don't think they'd released Diablo on console before 3, right? It was a big deal that it came out on console.
Diablo 1 was on PS1. I don't think Diablo 2 came out, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, like I have Diablo 3 on PS4, and it played just fine. And that's how I played it on the Vitas. I did the remote play on it, and that even worked fine.
Yeah. And that's probably more fun to play on console than it is keyboard and mouse, to be honest, because the like hack and slash mechanic of it. I can see that being, if not more fun, equally as fun.
Yeah, I think Diablo at $60 plays more into the overvalue of a, God, how old is that game now? 7-year-old game. But yeah, I mean, it regularly drops down. I would say if it drops down to 30, it's totally worth it.
I guess I should go and have a look in my local second-hand game shop, because if I could pick that cartridge up for $20 or $30, I'd definitely take it.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing then is when I look down the other games, I've got so many pissing game subscriptions these days that, like, for example, Metro Last Light, or whatever it is, Metro 20, which was the latest one, whatever. I've got all the Metro games on the Xbox Games Pass now, I think, or on Origin Games Pass, or on whatever, Epic Games Pass, whichever pissing Games Passes I now own, which is all of them. I've got access to all of those games for free on a different platform, so I'm not going to go and buy it, you know? Yeah. For me, I've paid a hell of a lot of money to play a couple of games portably. That's my problem. And now that my kid's starting to play it, though, I feel like I'm getting more value, because she'll happily sit and play now with it linked up to the TV as a console. So now I feel like...
That's the biggest value I get out of Game Pass, is that, like, the kids can just go look at the games and find something they want to play. Download it, see if it's any good. I'm not out any money. Since I stacked up the gold before I switched over, like I'm set for that for a couple of years now.
I love it. Link's Awakening looks good. That looks more like the old school Japanese RPG, right?
If you enjoyed the Game Boy version, you will probably like this.
Never played it.
It's the exact same game. It's a much more linear Zelda. It's even more linear than like Link to the Past and things like that. So you don't do as much time dawdling around trying to figure out where exactly you need to go. It's pretty clear. I like the top-down perspective, because I've talked about this a couple times. It's a fun game, and I would try it out. Breath of the Wild is definitely much harder to get into, I think. But if you just kind of want a sit-down, simple RPG, Link's Awakening is a great one to do.
Well, I'm going to see if I can find maybe a Diablo 3, because I played a bit of it on PC, and then I never played any of the DLC, and I'm guessing the Definitive Eternal Edition will come along with the DLC. Yeah. So it may be worth the money then. You know, we'll see. But I mean, we'll come back onto it. Pokemon Sword is really sold out.
Yeah, because if you want a game where you're grinding all the time.
Well, but that's brilliant when you're traveling, right?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, we'll come on to that. So, anything else you've been playing? Slay the Spire?
No, just
awesome.
Basically that. I've been playing a little bit of Europa Universalis 4, but it turned... Gary's shrugging. I love the stories that come out of that. So like the first time I played it recently...
I have no idea what you said, let alone what this game is.
So it's one of Paradox's grand strategy games, but it's like the colonialism time period. So I haven't played it for a while, so like during one of the Steam sales I picked up all the expansions to get me caught up. So I decided to play as started off in Ireland, because usually that's kind of like the tutorial area. You don't get bunked around too much. Turns out England really hates Ireland. Stopped me from doing anything. I know you're laughing, because I know the political connotations of this. They stopped me from doing anything. So then I decided to start up colonies over on North America. Took over like Newfoundland, around that area. England took the rest of Ireland away from me, so they pushed mainland Ireland off to Canada.
Oh, okay.
We did pretty well over there till they decided, till England and the Pope decided, no, you don't need colonies anymore. Both of them came down, bopped Ireland out of there, which left me with colonies in Africa and New Zealand. So the capital moved to Africa, so Ireland was now in Africa. up until Portugal got really pissy and kicked me out of both New Zealand and Africa, and that ended that run. So,
well, yeah, I mean, it sounds fun. It sounds fun, but I have not got the patience for grand strategy.
Yeah, no, it takes a lot of like figuring out the mechanics, and like it's a very, very steep learning curve. But the stories you get out of it are, I think, the point of playing those games.
That's nice. It sounds nice. Yeah, it sounds like something I wouldn't mind watching on like a YouTube series rather than playing myself, though.
Quill 18 does a lot of good strategy game runs. Yeah, he's actually doing one right now. He's finishing up one where he played as Korea, and Korea's kind of blobbed out to take over like most of China and things like that. So
sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds awesome.
So what have you been playing, Gary?
I have been playing mainly old stuff, but with something new and frustrating. So I've been going back to playing Minecraft. I always do. My kid wanted to play, so we spun up a server so we can play together. And as usual, she builds about 6 different little houses and then gets bored, and I end up making like an iron farm and a villager trading hall and all these huge...
Look at my
massive
industry.
Yeah, I can't help myself once I've started playing on a new... I'm like, well, I've got to have an iron farm. That's just basics, right? And then it's like... Okay,
Golems aren't real people. They don't have souls.
Yes, no, they don't count. But I don't know. It's fun to play with a kid. She still logs on and plays a lot, so that's always fun. And Apex Legends again. I mean, I'm solely taken with that game still, and I'm as surprised as anyone that I'm still playing that game. Like I play with Marco, and Matt Brunt, who you probably know from the speaking scene, and we just hang out and play and laugh. And it turns out that we win a lot more when I play the character who fires a drone up into the air and scouts out the opponents. So when I'm not shooting, we actually win a lot more than if I'm expected to be shooting opponents, which is kind of weird. But yeah, we've got, I mean, honestly, there's few people now hanging out, and we've got, like, sometimes multiple groups of an evening playing Apex in the Jerkstock Games Discord.
Yeah, there's usually somebody's playing a game of that every day.
Yeah, I mean, Apex, last night we had 2 groups go in because there were too many people. So if you want to play Apex with myself or any of the other people who hang out, then join the Discord and just go in the group up channel and just... keep your eyes open or say you're playing, because it's turning out to be a lot of fun. I love it because it's so chilled. It's like a battle royale game where you don't have to spend 20 minutes looting. Therefore, if you die, it's not this huge time investment that you've put into the game for no reward, right? You die, oh, never mind, let's just go again, which I love. And it's just fun to hang out because we laughed. These things happen as they do in all online games where just weird shit happens and makes you laugh. And it's great. You pull off the 1 in a million shot. Or the other day where I thought I'd pulled off the 1 in a million shot, and the guy jumped at the last minute and jumped over my bullet of a sniper shot. When and like Brunty was watching me because he was dead. So I was like, oh, did you see that? Like, it's just that hanging out with friends mentality. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And then when I'm not hanging out with friends and I feel like some anxious online gaming, I've been playing Escape from Tarkov, which... I've played before. It seems to have become very en vogue with streamers at the moment. They did a release. It's a beta, I think now, official beta or alpha. It's been in early access for 3 years. I think I bought it at least 18 months ago. Played it and I really didn't get on with it because it was so buggy. And
is it like a survival game? I can't remember exactly which one this is.
So it's PvP. So you go into one of the zones. Tarkov is this fictional Russian city, and you go into one of the zones around Tarkov, the factory or the woods or the customs office, and there's scavs, which are PvE. They're bots essentially, and there's other players put into the session, and then you can choose. The weird thing about it is that it's hyper realistic. No, it's not hyper realistic, but it's hyper realistic compared to other online games. So, for example, you have no health bar, you have no indication of how many rounds are left in your magazine. You have to kind of remember, or you can press a button to check, and he'll go, well, it's about half full. And so it's a lot. It's more difficult. You go in with whatever equipment you want to take in from your stash. and then you loot and you shoot people and you loot. But if you die, you lose everything that's on your body. So you have to get out of the zone, and there's like maybe 2 or 3 extraction points per map. So you have to get out with anything you've looted in order to take it back to your stash.
Okay, so it's a little bit like Rust in that regard, but like Rust is an instance, so like
it's instant, yes. And each server lasts about 40 minutes, so you've got a timer. So you go in, you'll have a timer, and you'll go 40 minutes. You've got that much time to fight and loot, and then you have to get out within that 40 minutes. It's really good fun. The interesting thing for me that makes it more fun is the scavs. You don't have to risk your PMC, because they were like, obviously, your PMC is your main character. Sorry, that's your like normal character. You don't have to risk your PMC, because they obviously thought, well, at some point people are going to run out of money, so they can't buy new guns and armor and ammo, and they're going to have nothing. So how the hell they're effectively stuck now, where they can't play the game, right? Because I've got no money to buy new gear. I've got no gear. There's no point in me just going in with like no gun or no melee weapon or something. So they've got this concept of the scavs. You could just drop into a map and take control of one of the AI scavs.
Oh, okay.
So when you're fighting scavs, you don't know if they're AI or if they are actual players who have just dropped in. And if you escape with the scav, you get the gear into your PMC. So,
okay.
Like the scavs have random inventories, so they may have decent armor and a decent gun, or they may just have a pistol and no meds and no armor. You know, they could have any range from, but you can only jump into a scav once every 15 minutes. So it's not like you can spam over and over and over playing the scav. But that makes it a lot more fun for me, because I'm rubbish at first-person shooters, and so having to risk it all just stresses me out. Whereas if I just drop in as a scav, it doesn't matter again if I die in like 5 minutes. You're not
really out a whole lot.
It's not my stuff, like. But it's really good fun. And what I like about it is you see a lot of streamers playing it now, and it's like the PUBG type thing where there's a good narrative that runs through when you're watching someone else play. It's a very good game to watch other people play, because PUBG I loved playing, but it was too slow paced for me.
Yeah.
Whereas I really enjoyed watching other people who were good at the game playing it, because there's this sense of peril constantly in PUBG, and there's the same in Tarkov. If you like watching streamers, it's definitely a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I may have to check that out, because I like playing Rust and stuff like that, but people are assholes, and that kind of ruins the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is it, right? So the interesting thing about how difficult this game is, you can go in as a group, but you have no markers to say that this is your teammate. So if you split up, like you see people shooting their teammates all the time.
Oh, because you don't realize that's your teammate.
Because they've split up, and then he goes, oh my god, there's someone attacking me from the west. That's me. Oh, you killed, it's really fun to watch and fun to play. I haven't played a lot of it because it petrifies me, but it is fun.
I may have to check that out. So, going from escaping from a mysterious Russian city to running around what is basically the English countryside. Those are two very diverse areas you like to play in, Gary.
I do. Yeah, it's true.
How are you enjoying Pokemon Sword? I guess in your case, I'm playing Shield. With as many English references as that game is constantly throwing at you.
So let's be honest here. This is the first Pokemon game I've ever played. I'll be honest.
You're a little baby Pokemon player.
I've never played. I mean, I watched the would you call it anime? I don't know. I watched the cartoon. When I was a kid, I loved it. Like, even watched it when I was not a kid, and I still really enjoyed it. So I have awareness over words like Bulbasaur. I know what these things are. I am in my 40s.
You understand why Charizard is the best Pokemon out of all of them.
I don't know about that, but I know what a Charizard is, yes. But I watched many a true nerd playing in a playthrough, and I was like, this looks like a lot of fun. And it is a lot of fun. I'm really, really enjoying it. Now, it is highly grindy.
Every Pokemon game can be highly grindy.
When you've got like a 4-hour layover, and having a highly grindy game to hand is no bad thing, right? Because it's nothing but good for burning a few hours of of hanging around airports. I'm really enjoying it. I am really enjoying it. The Englishness is hilarious. I mean,
just the game starting off, you're dealing with sheep running amok, and then a mysterious, spooky forest right next door. And my god, the soccer
my day-to-day life.
I have heard.
This is my total day-to-day life. This is exactly what my life is like.
How do you people deal with all of the soccer chants all the time? I do not understand.
Yeah.
My kids did not realize that those were soccer chants, like in the stadiums.
It's like how I would create a game based in Japan if I didn't speak to any Japanese people ever and just thought, oh, these are the normal tropes for Japan, we'll just go with that, right? That's what's happened here. And I love the way they speak, the way they've written down the speech. Like, oh, this person should sound a bit cockney, innit, governor? I'm like, this is just awesome. I love it.
So which starter did you go with?
I went with the water ones. I don't know what their name is. Jesus, Squirtle? No,
it's
Squirtle.
That was the cool one. I don't remember what it is either. I went with the Grookey. I went with the monkey. The little green monkey.
Squirty. Hang on. Pokemon Sword starters. I'll tell you because people will want to know. People will definitely want to know what starter Pokemon I went with. I went with Sobble.
Sobble, that's what it is.
That's how you pronounce it.
Because my son went with Scorbunny. I went with the monkey, and then with the Grookey.
The Grookey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. There's a lot more to the game than I ever realized with the types and the super effective and the same type bonuses and all that nonsense. It's good fun, though. I'm really enjoying it. And I'm writing a game, Pokemon Combat Simulator, that you can play via SMS or WhatsApp or email that I'll be using at my booth as my booth demo for people to pick which move they want to play via WhatsApp or SMS or email. And then they'll be able to take a turn, and then, it'll be a bit of fun. Mm-hmm. And you're not allowed to steal that for next month. That's definitely my idea.
Well, so what I will do is I will do the Digimon version of that, because that's the way that should work.
We're coding it up on stream, actually, and a raw plug. It's a lot of fun to code on the stream because it has the bits that keep my employer happy, the interacting via SMS and via email and via voice and all that good stuff. But it's also really fun to write combat algorithms for games. Yeah. Like, they are much more fun than, oh, you like this, you might also like that algorithms, even though under the hood they're probably very similar. So, but this is for a game, so it's fine. It's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. How are you getting on?
My son says I need to play it more, but that's because he wants to be able to trade with me, and I'm so far behind where he is. So I'm enjoying it. Since I picked up Play the Spire, I've been playing it a lot less, but I got through like the first gym. Spent a ton of my time. Now saying I got through the first gym sounds like I haven't gotten very far, but I spent a ton of time in the very first little city, trying to literally catch all of the Pokemon that I could.
You gotta catch them all, man. You gotta catch them all.
I find normally the story for Pokemon games is very boring. Like, I get it. Like, I gotta collect Pokemon, I gotta beat the gyms, and somebody's trying to destroy the world at the same time. It's pretty standard across all of them. So I like collecting all of the Pokemon. So I spend a lot of time doing that, and I will spend forever, like, especially like in the new like wild areas that they have in between each of the main kind of sections, where there's just tons of Pokemon, and trying to figure out what Pokemon you can catch. So for people that haven't played this but have played the old ones, instead of having like the routes in between each of the cities where you walk, there's just these huge open areas, and you can see all of the Pokemon walking around, kind of like how it is in Pokemon Let's Go. And but the thing is, you can't catch all of the Pokemon that are there. So, like, going through my first time, it's like, oh, there's a big giant Onix. I should catch that right now. No, because it was level 60, and all of my Pokemon were, like, level 15 or whatever. So, like, the game is not nice to you in some ways, but it feels a lot more open than the original Pokemon games. So, for me, that's kind of like being able to walk around, catch the Pokemon, go into like the the little dungeons and do like the raids and stuff is really fun. My son has already beaten Sword, collected most of the Pokemon, and now he's playing through Shield to get I don't know exactly what he's doing. He needs to get a Master Ball for something and then do something with it. I don't know. He's trading on a whole bunch of stuff. But I was one of the saps who actually bought both versions. But most of that was so that I could travel with a version and my son could still play. Because I could not get an answer if I bought the digital version. Could I actually play each of them independently at the same time? Because it turns out the digital way with having two Switches is a bunged up mess. Because Nintendo doesn't know how to do... Nintendo doesn't understand that you might want to actually own two different consoles at the same time. Like,
I mean, no, I know families, right? One console never causes arguments.
No, no. And then now my son wants his own Switch, which I don't necessarily care because he plays it a ton. So if he gets his own Switch, he'll use it. But then like the digital games he won't have access to because they're all under my account, and I can't put my account on his and let him play it because of the way the sharing works. So
yeah.
So we buy a ton of cartridges just to avoid that problem. But yeah, I was one of the poor saps who bought. I bought both.
He can have his own Switch if he only plays Fortnite on it. It'll be fine.
He doesn't play Fortnite anymore, though. That's the kids don't play Fortnite anymore. Gary, what?
Oh, okay. I don't know what the kids do. I don't know what the kids do. Do I, Chris? Come on, look at me. Like, I don't know what the kids do. Obviously,
I know my son plays a ton of Pokemon. I think we've bought him most of the Pokemon games at this point, and he's played through.
It's good though. It's cool.
Yeah, no, he's really into it. And then they're still playing Roblox. So Roblox apparently is still a popular thing, though I do not understand that at all.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing that I really can't be bothered to talk about. But, I mean, for me, the one frustrating thing is I wish you could turn on Pokemon, back to Pokemon. Mm-hmm. I wish you could turn on, like, fast combat mode or something where you can skip some of the
you don't have to go through all the animations. Yeah.
Well, I don't mind the animations. It's just, like, when there's text that you know... Oh, like, for example, your Pokemon can learn this move. Would you like them to learn it? Yes. Yeah. And then you have to say 1, 2, 3. Your Pokemon forgot X and learned what? And I'm like, yes, I know. Can I just like I don't need to read this 67 times in the entire time of playing the game, right? And that there's a lot of frustration around that for me because it's a grindy game. It would be so much better if you could skip some of the repeated content. Yep. But it's Pokemon. I guess that's kind of traditional.
It would require Game Freak to actually do some work on a new version of Pokemon to take that out.
Yeah, it's all good.
Have you seen Temtem, the Pokemon clone?
I have the massive multiplayer online Pokemon. That is definitely not Pokemon.
It is different from and legally distinct from Pokemon in all ways, shapes, and forms.
That is exactly what it is, although it is just Pokemon.
It is.
Yeah. It is what it is. But, that looks like a ton of fun as well. I don't think that's out on Switch, though, right?
No, I guarantee that game will never, ever find its way onto a Nintendo console in any way.
No. That's probably fair. That's probably fair. But, yeah, that looks like a lot of fun. I haven't played it. I've just seen a video of it. I haven't actually played that at all. I think it's in a very early access still, right?
Yeah, the game world's still not completely done. So I think it's still considered an alpha early access. But it's also really well done. So if you like Pokemon, that might be a pretty decent tangent to jump off to and play. They put a lot of work into it. It right now is still a very polished game, despite it being a very early game.
Yeah, it looked good. Cool. I think we'll leave it there for today. We've had a nice chat about stuff. Oh, I did want to mention one other thing, and that's just like how rubbish this quarter's been for games.
Oh, yeah, it's junk. There's nothing coming out.
2077's been delayed till Q3, which I'm okay with, by the way. I'm okay with games being delayed until they're ready. Mm-hmm. I'd much prefer a game to be delayed than to be a Bethesda game. So, I totally think that it being delayed is CD Projekt Red is totally fine because they obviously want this game to be amazing, and that's great.
Yeah, as long as they don't do the death march that they've been talked about having done before, I will give them as much time in the world as they need for Cyberpunk to get it done. Because I would rather that come out as a good game, and I know they can put out a quality game, so they can take all the time that they want.
There's just nothing released in Q1. Well, actually, Doom Eternal, which I'm completely... I may or may not have mentioned the fact that I'm super hyped for Doom Eternal before.
You're as hyped for Doom Eternal as I am for Animal Crossing. Like, that's...
yeah, I know. We went through this last month. Did. That's fine. But yeah, I am hyped for Doom Eternal, but there's just nothing coming out that I want to play. So
no, so we were actually in GameStop last weekend because my son was... He was trading in his copy of Modern Warfare that he thought he would enjoy, but he didn't. Which... Side note, I was surprised you can get $30 out of that game still. Like,
wow,
I was completely amazed. But so they were running a deal, you know, like if you trade in a game, like we'll give you free $5 to put down on a pre-order. So we were looking through the list, and it's like, well, there's Animal Crossing, which I've already paid off, so I just need it in my hands. For the love of God, give me that game. Final Fantasy VII Remake, which. Final Fantasy
again, right?
Final Fantasy VII is one of my favorite games of all time, but I can't pull the trigger on like getting the remake. And I know it's going to end up being like there will be a new edition down the line that's going to have everything in it. Like, so I don't necessarily want to pay for it out of the box.
How many times am I going to pay for that damn game as well? That's another one that I've paid for 87 times over the last.
Joke's on you! I've only paid for it once, and that was on the PlayStation. Because back then I didn't have a PC I could play that was strong enough to play it. But yeah, that's the only other one that I like have thought about, that and Doom Eternal picking up. But both of those I feel like if I don't get them day one, I'm not going to be disappointed with. But like there was nothing else on the pre-order sheets that like jumped out as like, yeah, we need to pre-order this. Like just nothing that great.
I don't know. There's not a lot like. There's not a lot of good stuff coming out. Like, even this year, there's nothing that's making me go, oh my god, apart from Doom Eternal. There's, like, nothing that's making me go, oh my god, that's releasing. Like, I was so excited for The Lost Worlds last year and numerous other games I was, like, really hyped for. Mm-hmm. I don't know, maybe I'm missing out on some stuff. Because we did, we discussed a lot of stuff about what was going on last year. What's going on next year when we did our last edition last year is what I meant.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot Q1, I think is the thing. Like, there's probably going to be more stuff later this year, but.
Yeah. There's not a lot being announced for later this year either, so we're relying on announcements to go, oh, remember that game? Well, we're going to actually release it soon. So,
it's continuing the trend of this 2020 sucks, and it's January 30th, and it's already been a shit year. So.
Yeah, don't worry. Let's leave on the note reminding everyone that as a citizen of the UK, we leave Europe tomorrow, so there's that.
Oh, that's right. To. Congratulations.
Woohoo! Jesus Christ. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. 2020. Way. Yeah.
Welcome to the dumpster fire. It's not going to get any better.
Yep. It's all good. It's been nice to hang out with you, though, Chris.
It has, yes. So you can find me on just about anywhere on the internet as Dragonman Tank. On Twitter, you can sometimes find me streaming at twitch.tv/DragonmanTank. Gary, you can find on Twitter as GGEEH. And he streams much more regularly than I do at twitch.tv/Spabby, though it's all programming, and you don't want to learn about that by Nexmo. You can find us online for the podcast at Jerks Talk Games, and you can find us online at Jerks Talk Game. Let's try that again. Our URL is www.jerkstalkgames.com. Where you can find show notes and copies of all of these. And, of course, you can find the MP3 downloads of these at anywhere that you can find podcasts. Except for Spotify, because I recently read through their EULA for podcasts, and we will never be on Spotify. So, good job, Spotify. But if you can, tell your friends, leave reviews. We always love those kind of things. And, Gary, you're supposed to say what?
What?
Don't forget to save your game.